Yo, what's up? What's up? Hanging with the Niners nut. And what aren't we talking about today? Talking about the situation going on with Deebo Samuel, of course. I don't know, man. You know, situations like these, you got to expect it to come up sometimes, especially around contract extensions and off season and the tenacity of the situation in terms of how talented they are. And the media loves to run with these stories and narratives and just kind of like paint their own versions of things that aren't true. One of them being one of the perfect examples is Adam Schefter. If you looked at the post I just had up recently about Adam Schefter talking about how, in his opinion, he thinks Debo, wants to leave because he wants to be closer to home. And then quickly you have Deebo Samuel kind of answering him and laughing at him. This is part of the problem with these people who feed who feed the bullshit even more. And I feel bad for a lot of people who like believe this shit because again, look, you have to be objective with this whole situation. You got to look at it from two sides: management side and Deebo Samuel side. You can't have your heart in this situation as a fan. I mean, look, that's the way I look at things, and believe me, there was a time in my life when I looked at everything with my heart in terms of this team. But you got the love you have for the team and the players doesn't change. The you have to be objective with this, and you have to look at the business side of things for both sides. There's so many different aspects. You almost have to be like a friggin' lawyer to look at this as a separate case. So let's just treat this as it is, like a Debo Samuel case, right? You gotta break this down let's look at the obvious. Yeah, the dude is extremely talented. He's a mega talented wide receiver. He's a dual threat. He's a juggernaut. He had a monster season this past year in his third official season as a San Francisco 49er. Prior to that, last year, he was hurt, missed a lot of time. The year before that, he had a decent to solid rookie season, which showed a lot of upside. Now, of course, last year's kind of a wash because in terms of, well, a lot of the team was injured. No Mo Start, no Bosa, no Jimmy G, obviously no Deebo Samuel. The whole team was nicked up. No George Kittle for a good chunk of the season. So it was an absolute wash. Plus, everything going on with COVID and whatnot. But you can't negate that 100%. You have to look at the situation and say, okay, he didn't have a monster season last year. So you fast forward to this year where he was a dual threat and he had a great season. Let's call it like it is. If it's not for Deebo Samuel, we don't advance that far. And I think that everybody can agree who has a pair of eyes that watched every game this season or most of the games this season or watched the playoffs carefully this season. Okay, we don't go that far without him. And look, you could say whatever you want. You could say, well, yeah, but he profits because the offense is based around him, or the offense is based around how they want to utilize him, or I don't know. I saw some bullshit too. Yeah, situations like this bring out the bullshit even more. Blaming Jimmy Garoppolo, talking about how he doesn't have the arm strength to throw to anybody else but Deebo Samuel. So they want to just use Jimmy Garoppolo. They use Deebo Samuel to, for a certain reason because of Jimmy Garoppolo, as opposed to say if Trey Lance was in there, he wouldn't be using him that way. The offense, Shanahan wouldn't be. That's a crock of shit. Number one, know your shit before you comment. Know your shit before you talk. And if you want to just chirp and be a friggin' idiot and not know the game, do it somewhere else, man. You're wasting your time and you're looking stupid. So again, you got to treat this situation different, and you got to treat the narrative as, what's the narrative? The narrative is to feed this situation even more, which a lot of these reporters are doing, which a lot of, everyone's doing it. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying he doesn't want to be traded. I mean, maybe look, let's be objective. Maybe he's had it and figures, you know what? Let me use some scare tactics on this team, which is smart to an extent, and say, hey, like I want to be traded. But in the back of his mind, he seems like a pretty intelligent guy. I'm sure his team, his party knows that by saying that, because you're still under contract and because you still have the team has the ability to franchise tag you not once but twice. It is a smart thing to say. Maybe you put the fire under their ass a little bit. I totally understand that. And from his standpoint, I can't blame him for that. But look, even Deebo Samuel's got to keep himself in check. Like, dude, you've had one monster season. Phenomenal season. No joke. The other two seasons, like I said, one of them was mediocre, not bad, good. And the other one wasn't so good. You were injured. So for you to want $25 million, as I stated in my last podcast, $25 million would be right under Stephon Diggs, right under DeAndre Hopkins, right under Devontae Adams, and right under, forgot the other wide receiver who's getting max money. But you talk, Tyreek Hill, how could I forget that? You're talking about premier wide receivers, primarily Tyreek Hill, who's got a chip. Primarily DeAndre Hopkins, who's been doing this for various years. Primarily Devontae Adams, who's been doing this for various years. And Stephon Diggs. All four of those guys have veteran years, veteran more experience over Deebo, and have the numbers to back it up. Now, of course, Tyreek Hill's got the chip. He's got he's been to the Super Bowl, what? Twice, right? Lost 1-1-1, beat us. Diggs never been there. DeAndre Hopkins never been there, and Devontae Adams never been there. Okay, but that being said, they have the veteran experience over him. So yeah, you're not gonna get. I could understand him wanting to get paid, but at the same time, being devil's advocate, being objective, you got to say, listen, dude, you're not in that class. I'm sorry. Maybe another year or two of showing us that you're in that class. Yeah, and it makes sense in a sense if you're the 49ers because look, it also shows, okay, yeah, you got what? How many more years under contract? 1 or 2? In those 2 years, show us another year of that and then we'll talk money. Or you don't have to pay the 25. Say, look, I can't do 25, but I can do 20 to 22. I think that's being rather generous. I think that's being rather smart. Okay, and you want to make sure you lock him up for 4 years. Now, if you were going to give him the 25 million, if you're working on that, you got to sign him to a 5-year contract. It just makes sense. 4-year contract, I don't really think makes sense. Plus, you got to hope that in that whatever, if you're able to sign him to that $25 million deal in your contract deal, you want to make sure that either you don't have a no trade clause until the last year, or you do the 4-year contract and you do have a no trade clause really to me is bullshit for the team because don't get me wrong, there are guys who are absolute assets to a team, but to say you don't have a no trade clause kind of locks the team out. Okay, it's really not smart sometimes depending on the player, but I think a guy like him where he's at right now is kind of between a rock and a hard place because, look, yeah, the team does need him. That's obvious. But they don't have to pay him the $25 million. Look, there's wide receivers that are getting less than the 4 I already mentioned that would be getting less than Deebo Samuel, who have been in the league more, and I hate to say it because I love Deebo, who are better receivers, okay? The 4 of those guys are better receivers. Now, to be fair, they're not utilized the way Deebo is. We don't see DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, and we don't see Stephon Diggs really being used out of the run backfield. Tyreek Hill sometimes, but we'll see that less and less over his career. And now being in Miami, I don't know how that's going to work, although, God knows with that team. But that being said, he's valuable because he's two-dimensional. But at the same time, those guys are absolute wrecking balls. Okay? Um, there's no disputing that. You look at Keenan Allen on the Los Angeles Chargers. He's been in the league for how long? He's getting less money than all of them, and he's a damn good wide receiver. Okay, him and Mike Williams together get mega contracts, and they've solidified themselves as a legit 1-2 punch. Of course, with Justin Herbert, Hey Bear doesn't hurt you. But also, too, a lot of things are weighing on the quarterback situation, and that's where I blame management. Management is wrong for that. Management has fucked up that situation so bad it goes back to last year. Okay, not to sound like a broken record, but they fucked up that whole situation last year because, and hear me correctly and clearly, because I don't want to misuse this term, but I feel that management fucked this situation up last year when they gave away so much equity getting Trey Lance. That really hurt things. Because now you're putting this excess pressure on the quarterback situation. And I understand why you did it, but I just didn't like how you did it. And now the problem is, well, we don't, hey, look, man, we all want Trey Lance to do well, but we hope he's going to be the guy of the future. And now you have Jimmy G, who you couldn't trade in the offseason, who's repairing his injured shoulder elsewhere, not with the team. And now we don't know what his situation is once he comes out and shows he can throw, because supposedly the reports are that he is not going to be the starter this year. And you know what? Even that I don't believe 100%, because if hey, look, and I'm sure Trey Lance is going to be great. I really believe he's going to be solid, because I liked what I saw from him to an extent. But we don't know what the future holds of the quarterback situation, and therefore that's somewhat going to fuck up shit too. So, it's a combination of things, really. What is this comment? But this ain't something new. Cordell Patterson did it. Sidney Rice did it. Trayvon Austin did it. And before that, Dante Hall did it. Deebo isn't the first Deebo like he thinks he is. L9 to 49, you're 100% right, brother. I feel you on that. And I agree with you. 100%. And I respect, I love him. I love the guy. I love the way he plays fearlessly. I love the way he blocks. I love the way he runs with a vengeance. But let's call it like it is. That style of play is going to, unless you're made of, I don't know, adamantium or vibranium, whatever the hell it is, you're going to get hurt, dude. And we've seen that 2 years ago. Okay? Here's another situation going on where management has fucked up. Our offensive line. Now, they didn't fuck up on the whole Alex Mack thing because we don't know if he's coming back. Where they did fuck up is not re-signing Laken Tomlinson. I know we all can say the same thing. Yeah, but they drafted players. Jalen Moore, Aaron Banks. They re-signed Colt McKivitz. That's great. I listen, I get it. But I just don't think you let such a valuable piece of the pie go, knowing that offensive line was a lot of the reason why we did so well. Because if Deebo Samuel gets behind a shitty offensive line, he's not having that much luck, and we all know that. And that goes for Trey Lance in the future. That goes for either him or Jimmy Garoppolo. It goes for our running game as well. I blame management. I do. I love them, but I blame them. I love Shanny. I love Lynch, but I fucking blame them. I'm sorry, man. And I'm not trying to be that type of cat that says, hey, man, you got to point the finger at somebody and blame them. No, I'm pointing the finger at the obvious. There's been a lot of mixed signals. There's been a lot of bullshit that's gone on. There's been a lot of moves that management has made that I haven't loved. And it's not just this year. It's been various years. And maybe it's just me because, maybe it's just my opinion. But I never dug the DeForest Buckner move. Still, I don't give a shit what anyone says. I will never dig that. I don't care right now. As good as the defense is, as looks to be, never dug that move. That was stupid. Okay, I didn't dig the Trey Lance move, and I'm not saying the draft for him was bad. The way they gave shit away to get him was wrong. You don't trade away 2 first-round draft picks to get him. I'm sorry. You could have still gotten him or somebody else and not given it away, and whatever. That being said, L9 to 49, healthiest locker room possible for him. Oh, man, I hope so. I would agree with you because obviously he's built a real good rapport here in the Bay Area, and he's built a real good rapport with this team, and he has the respect of his teammates, and he knows the flow of the offense, and him and Shanny have a good relationship. And I love both of them. I love Shanahan, dude. I love his offensive mind. I think he's extremely cerebral. I think he's one of the most cerebral coaches we've ever had in the league. But there are times I question him, but I did think he did some of his best coaching this past season in various games. L9 to 49, and yes, I agree, it's the front office. If they would have just signed him mid-season or fresh after season, he would have never seen these other prices like the Hills and the Diggs are getting. Oh, I must have missed a little bit of your comment, dude. I apologize. At the end of the day, he's trying to get paid, and that's understood 100%. But at the end of the day, these types of things are what kills the... Yes, agreed with you. I agree with you 100%. And I agree with you that, you could have locked him up early. If your intentions were to lock him up earlier, this should have been over. This should have been the first thing you should say. Him and fucking Bosa should have been signed. You don't fuck around with that shit. Bosa's the best defensive player in football. I don't give a shit. Myles Garrett definitely as well. JJ Watt, the other Watt, not JJ Watt anymore. He's still good, but not what he was. Bosa is an absolute wrecking ball. The season he had this season just puts to sleep so many of the people. I mean, I just think he's the total package. So yeah, you got to sign your guys, man. You got to do that, and especially with a team that's so well put together the way we are. And again, I have to blame management, dude. I really do. But listen, let's call it like it is. They had no trouble trading DeForest Buckner a couple of years ago, and to my knowledge, DeForest Buckner was one of the most valuable defensive pieces we had to that puzzle. And he's sure shit showing it in Indianapolis, who's only going to get much better with the new signing of Stephen Gilmore. Okay, the trade for Matt Ryan on offense, and Darius Leonard, man, that team's on the up and up. And again, what did we do this offseason? We let DJ Jones walk, who again I thought has filled in so admirable, was so valuable. We let him fucking walk. I don't get that move. I understand you can't have everybody, but come on, bro. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? These guys were the absolute reason why we did damage. Not re-signing Arden Key, another move. Bullshit. I don't agree with that. I'm happy you re-signed Jordan Willis, but you don't go after. I mean, you're not locking down your key guys. And look, I could understand Deebo too, like not feeling love because he's like, I don't understand. Like maybe like, they're not getting back to him at a I guess a respectable limited time. But at the same time too, they're doing their options. But I feel what you're saying, 09 to 49, in that, yeah, but you should have expected this because you guys have to see into the future and know beforehand what's going to happen. I mean, that's why you have a front office. And, I kind of feel, and again, I'm not trying to take too many swipes at the front office, but hear me and correct me if I'm wrong and agree with me if you want to. And if you're not, I totally feel you. The front office doesn't run things the way it did when Edward DeBartolo Jr. was there. The great Edward DeBartolo Jr., the greatest owner in sports, in my opinion, along with Dr. Jerry Buss of the Los Angeles Lakers, the great George Steinbrenner of the New York Yankees, and a few other owners. Things aren't running the way it used to be. And I understand the game has changed and times have changed. But you know what? Sometimes when things are right, things are right. He knew how to re-sign his players. He knew who guys to keep. And I know a lot of people are going to go to the whole Joe Montana, Steve Young thing, which still kind of breaks my heart to this day. But I guess, what do you do when you have two mega superstars on the same roster? And, it's a tough situation. But I feel that management, obviously, and I'm going to take a swipe at Jed York. I've never been a fan of Jed York. Okay, I mean, I respect him a little bit more in these recent years where he's let John Lynch and management do the job. But I just feel like he's not an owner's owner. He just doesn't have that. He's just not that pedigree of ownership. He doesn't have his stamp, his hand on the team the way these other guys did, the way DeBartolo Jr. did. Like you just knew it just felt family when they used to do it. And right now it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like, I don't know. It's felt like that for a couple of years, to be honest. I'm just curious to know where this situation is going to go. In my opinion, I don't see them trading him at all. Okay. I don't see the value in trading him because what are you going to get back for him? Okay. First of all, are you going to trade him? What are you going to get from him? I don't think you're going to get a first round draft pick. I don't think any of these teams are going to give you, unless they give you late first round draft picks. And even if they do, what are you going to get with that? Now, I'm on the East Coast in New York. I listen to that, I'm not trying to make fun of him, but I don't like him as a radio host, as a game announcer. He's very good. Michael Kay should stick to baseball because he really doesn't know jack shit about football. Him and the other idiot he works with, that Dom LaGreca, whoever it is, he's talking about how, I think it was Dom LaGreca saying that he could see the 49ers trading Deebo for 2 second-round draft picks and the 49ers using 2 second-round draft picks to trade back into the first round. That's never going to happen. No team with the fucking brain is going to do that unless they're in the very late rounds, and by then they don't see that they can get who they want. They're not going to trade their first round draft pick for two second rounders. Again, unless they're late and they don't need it. But no one in the first 10 picks is going to do that. He mentioned that because, again, on the East Coast, he's probably a Jet fan, but the Jets could possibly trade away their second pick. That's not going to happen, number one. I mean, hey, look, it could make sense because Robert Saleh, being an ex-defensive coordinator of the 49ers, knows Deebo Samuel really well. Here's the problem. I don't see Deebo being utilized that way in New York the way he would be utilized here, on San Francisco, because after all, the New York Jets already have a couple guys under contract as wide receivers, and I don't see it working that way. Okay, if you traded him straight up, let's just say for argument's sake, who are you going to trade him for in terms of a player? I don't see that happening because I just don't see that happening at all. Okay, and either way, I think you limit the receiving corpse because here's the problem: you don't have a first round draft pick where you can go out and get one of these potential first round draft picks as a player. And if you get rid of Deebo, then you were talking Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings. We're talking Ray McLeod. The dude, I forgot. My brain escapes me from the. They just signed from the Cowboys. The other dude who's coming over from the Tennessee Titans. They're not going to be premier wide receivers. Okay, and even with George Kittle, and even if you threw the ball more to Juice, which they should be doing, you're going backwards and you're limiting the wide receiver corps. So it's not going to work that way. Okay. Your best bet is to re-sign him, obviously, and I'm sure along the way you can maybe cut the difference in half and meet somewhere in the middle. All right. Like I said, you don't have to do the 25 million, but maybe we could do 20 million, maybe we could do 22 and do a couple of years and fix things a couple of ways. But look, he could also stalemate and sit out. He doesn't have to play. And we've seen that happen before in guys like what's his name there from Bell from used to be the Steelers running back. He sat out a year. Then he went on to sign with the Jets, signed with the Ravens. He became shit. He went on to sign with the Kansas City Chiefs. He could do that. I don't think he will, Debo, because I don't think he's stupid like that. But he could. He could sit out and doesn't have to play. But again, you're going to sit out how long? You're going to only hurt yourself because it's not. I don't see him doing that. I don't think he's that pedigree of player. And again, I think a lot of the narratives we're being fed are just bullshit. I mean, you could see a couple of them on here. I've got the laptop here. I think this one says, for all you that can't see it, it's one of these clickbait bullshit from USA Today. Would the Patriots bite on an all trade for Deebo? Listen, this is all just trade bait bullshit. It's never going to happen. Deebo to the Lions, Deebo to the Chiefs, Deebo to the Eagles. It's never going to happen. This is bullshit. And anyone who buys into that, I feel bad for you, but you're being led astray by the Pied Piper of bullshit. It's not going to happen. And if it does, hey, I could be wrong, but I'll be damn well surprised. The Niners aren't going to let him go. I don't think Lynch is that dumb. I don't think Shanny is that dumb. They know they need him back. They know that he's one of our best chances to keep going and to win. We are like L9 or 49 already said, man. We have the locker room that he knows well. We have the offense that he knows well. So the pieces, for the most part, are still there, despite the fact that we've lost Lake and Tomlinson, despite the fact that we lost, several defensive aspects, pieces. But the system is still there. And I would really hate to think that they were going to gamble with that. I really hate to think that management was going to really try and have, the try and do the whole big dick thing, but I just don't see it happening. L9 of 49. Oh, thank what you're saying, man. I just thank you, man. You can't be surprised, though. We are talking about the same franchise that not let one two Hall of Famers walk. Yep, exactly. Agree with you. Nothing surprises me anymore. You're 100% right. Legend, yes. What you're saying about Edward D. Bartolo. Yeah, no, I feel you with the whole Jerry Rice thing. Broke my heart. Ronnie Lott, my favorite player of all time, probably broke my heart. I did love when he came to the Jets because I was able to see him on the East Coast a little bit, and I got the 42 jersey somewhere in my stack of jerseys. But I feel you, dude. I just feel like look, I understand the business aspect of things, and as fans, sometimes we tend to kind of think more with our heart than we do with our head. But at the same time, I'm of the mind that if it's working, it's working. If he's family, he's family. Rice should have retired as a 49er. He should have been kept as a 49er. I love that he was able to extend his career with 2,000-yard seasons in his late 30s, early 40s with the Oakland Raiders at the time. And then he went on. I didn't like him to see go to Denver and then to the Seattle Seahawks. And of course, I didn't like to see Terrell Owens go, but I hate to say this. I think Terrell Owens, he was a cancer too. I mean, talking shit about Jeff Garcia, talking shit about the other teammates. I love the guy. I thought Owens is by far one of the best wide receivers ever, but I could understand why they let him go. But I think, you know, I just think the way they're doing things now with management, it doesn't feel like classic old school 49 at Candlestick Park type of shit. It feels more corporate to me, and I hate that shit. I really hate that shit. You know, and I blame Jed York for that. because he's made some extremely horrible decisions as in his time as an owner. He's also, like I said, he doesn't have his hand on it, man. He's not in control of it like a guy like George Steinbrenner was, or a guy like Dr. Jerry Buss was. And just to mention my Los Angeles Lakers, because I'm a Los Angeles Lakers diehard, Jeannie Buss, Dr. Jerry Buss's daughter, really needs to get her hand on the situation in LA, because that team is a fucking dysfunctional family, and it absolutely is disgusting and sad to see, especially after the season. Why you're letting Rob Pelinka run the show, I don't understand. But I digress back to the 49ers. Um, we got the draft coming up in another week, right? We don't have any first round draft picks. I like the number of picks we got, but we're at a loss, man. There's some extremely good players in that draft that we could be talking about, that we could have in that first round. Now, if we had a first round draft pick, could we be talking possibly about a Deebo Samuel trade? Could you be possibly talking about not re-signing him? Again, I doubt it, but yeah, you do have the management would have a little more credibility if they did have a first round draft pick, but they don't. So that's not even a discussion to have. With the guys they've signed this offseason, Turner, I love Ray McLeod. I love that move. But again, these guys aren't premier wide receivers at the number one spot. And we all know what happened last year early on with the Brandon Ayuk bullshit. I'm going to put that on management too, because again, there was nothing that I found out that Brandon Ayuk was really doing bad. I thought he was coming along rather fine, and he went on to have a pretty solid second season. But I don't understand why that happened. So that's the situation we're in. And I love Juwan Jennings. I love the way he came down really solid at the end of the season, man. I mean, he took over really well for Bourne Jr. Where he left off a little bit, because I was sad to see him go. He didn't do too much damage with the Patriots. I thought he would have done some more damage there, but it didn't happen. I still like him though. But I like Juwan Jennings, man. And look, we're in a rough place. No Jalen Hurd. He turned out to be a bust. Okay. So yeah, we need this guy. We need him big time, man. It's obvious that he's a premier part of this team, and I can't see management letting him walk. But like my man just said, nothing surprises me anymore, dude. I mean, you let DeForest Buckner go. He was the cornerstone of that defensive line. I hate to say this, but he made that defensive line so much better at the time. Because of him, Armstead was better, Bosa was better, and to be fair, you know, I was a big Armstead critic for the negative. He had a phenomenal season this year. I think he turned his career around for the better part this year. He really played lights out, middle of the season down the stretch. Loved seeing it. And we have the defensive line to worry about. Hey, man, look, the reports are good on Javon Kinlaw being ready. You see the videos of him running. That's great. I want the guy to be good. He's obviously got to bulk up more muscular, get rid of a lot of that baby fat, and really step into his own. I hope he can live up to that. ACL injury, we've seen Bosa come back from it. We've seen other players come back from it. So I hope it works out for him, man. We need him. No more DJ Jones. We need him. No more Arden Key off the edge. Speaking of off the edge, we don't know what's going to happen with D Ford. Supposedly it was that they fixed his contract. So now, thank you, L49 brother. I love you. Peace, respect. Thank you so much for listening, man. I really appreciate that for all the people who are listeners and fans. I really appreciate it. I just try and keep it real, man. I try and just keep it. I'm a Niner diehard my whole life, bro. I live and die this team. I defend them, but I'm objective. I call it like it is. I call bullshit where I call bullshit, man. I don't play that game, and I'll say this isn't going to work. And look, talking real for a second. I'm a Jimmy Garoppolo fan. I like Jimmy a lot. Is he limited? Yeah. Did he need to have a monster game against the Rams in that final stat? Yeah, he did. But, and yes, we still need to see what he can bring after the shoulder injury. Let's face it. Shoulder injury scares the shit out of me because it's your tool, bro. It's your throwing arm. It's your thing. Obviously, we need to see what you're gonna look like after this. Yeah, yeah, we're worried. But if all is good, hey man, good. If all is good with Trey Lance, hey man, great. We got two solid quarterbacks now. One a rookie, well, one a second year guy, really, and a veteran. That's what we wanted. Nate Sudfeld ain't gonna cut it. I don't know why we re-signed him. I don't even know why we're educating that. I don't know why we didn't bring in another veteran to solidify the position if Jimmy G does not work out. I don't understand that. You should have listen, bring in all the competition, let them battle it out. If you're that good, beat the motherfucker in back and in front of you. Do what they used to do back in the day. Joe Montana, Steve Young, Steve Bono. Yeah, two Hall of Fame of the greatest motherfucking quarterbacks ever. And Steve Bono was a damn good quarterback. For you, those of you guys who don't remember Steve Bono filled in so admirably as a third string. Then went on to have a little bit of a starting career with the Kansas City Chiefs, but he was a very good quarterback for that time. L9 of 49. I think the Niners dug this hole a long time ago and giving a fat contract with the 5-game showcase. Now, with that said, I get it was there when he played top-notch Jacksonville defense. Yeah, that's a good point. I agree with you on that. You know, the thing is they needed a quarterback really bad, but I agree with you. They overplayed their hand in that. And even then, I mean, like I was like 5 years, how much money they giving this guy? And look, no disrespect to Jimmy G, but you had what? 5 solid games. Okay? You tore the knee against Kansas City year 2, monstrous great season year 3, fourth year, the injuries, last year, not a bad year. But was the money really worth? I mean, we did go to the Super Bowl. We were a game away from last year. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I couldn't tell you, man. Could they have gotten him cheaper? Probably. But I guess beggars can't be choosers, right? Literally went to go buy number 10 jersey at halftime. It was a hell of a sight, and it felt like we hadn't had a QB since Garcia. Dude, Garcia, you know what, man? I did a whole podcast on him. He's one of my favorite 49ers of all time. Such an underrated quarterback, such an underrated athlete, such an underrated cerebral guy who played with nothing but heart, guts, and fearlessness, man. That's my boy right there. I love Garcia. Garcia does not get the respect. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. He does not get the admiration he deserves. Okay, because I think he goes down as one of now. Obviously, you know, Montana Young, yes, John Brody, but you know, Garcia brought us to the NFC Championship. Garcia engineered the greatest comeback in 49er motherfucking history. I think it's the greatest comeback ever. I don't care what anyone says. Garcia has the perfect story, very similar to Kurt Warner. You know, he's a guy that many quarterbacks go to be mentored. I wish management would have signed him as a quarterback coach. And I'm not dissing Brian Greasy. Brian Greasy's been away from the game for a little bit. I didn't really like him as a Monday night trio. I thought that group was absolutely treacherous and horrible. But listen, Brian Greasy has the experience. Yes, as a quarterback, he played. Yeah, but Jeff Garcia was the better quarterback. I would really love to see them sign Jeff Garcia as a quarterback coach. Um, or use him to mentor these guys. I mean, you know, especially having the ability to be mobile, the way Trey Lance is. Being cerebral, knowing the offense well, knowing where to pick and choose, being fearless, knowing when. I mean, well, Jeff Garcia was so fearless, he didn't slide at times, man. But he could rub off on Trey a lot. I don't know why management doesn't do these things. And again, I'm not dissing management 100%, but I just think that guys like that are so valuable that we've seen. You know, Jimmy G did his thing 3 seasons, only 2 full seasons, and went to a Super Bowl and won an NFC Championship. And yeah, it was led by killer defense, but he did his part. You're right, 100% agreed with you. Thank you for that. You're right. He did his thing. I don't know if he possibly could do any more. Now, again, I want to see what he looks like post shoulder surgery. And I say, look, if whoever is better, let them play out. And here's the problem. Management doesn't want to eat shit because they made the mistake of putting so much equity into the Trey Lance trade that now, hey, motherfucker, we got to play the guy. What if he sucks? We still got to play him to see what we got. But what if he's not the guy? What if he's not? Well, what are we going to do? We already paid this much for him. We got to play him. We got to do. We're going to look like shit. That's what I worry about. One thing I must say is that I feel Jimmy G gets a lot of credit for putting fires out and getting us out of holes, but damn it, he is the same one that put us in the majority of those holes. Yeah, man, look, he threw his picks against Dallas. He threw his picks against the Rams. He threw his picks against Green Bay, But the thing about him is he's he's one of those guys that I think really has the knack to do good things, but makes some boneheaded throws at times. And it can set you back. Now, thank God we have the defense to kind of get us out of those situations, but you're right. You're right. You don't want to be put in those situations, man. But I don't know, man. Look, you know what? I think this offseason, for the most part, has been a C plus. I could be being generous, maybe a B, but a C plus. I don't know, dude. I listen. Sometimes I feel the less I look at social media with this shit, the better, because they upset the living shit out of me. And look, who am I to complain? Because they were one game away from getting to the NFC, to getting to the Super Bowl. I still think, and I don't give a flying fuck what anyone thinks, they were a better team than the Rams. I'm not taking anything away from McVay. I think he's a phenomenal coach. I think Shanahan outcoached him big time in the season finale of the regular season. I think he outcoached him in the blowout earlier in the season. I think in the last game of the season, in that playoff NFC Championship game, it was too little, too late. But I think we were the better team, and I understand the end. The ends justify the means, the results. Nothing taken away from the Rams. They won the Super Bowl. I still think we were the better team, though. But that, it is what it is. Moving forward, the way things look right now, the Rams lost Von Miller. They're looking to give Cooper Kupp a monster contract. They gave Matt Stafford more money. Okay. Seattle's obviously, I think, for the most part, out of the race. Even if they do sign a legit quarterback, I mean, you let your pedigree and Russell Wilson go. Your meals, your guy, your what do you call it? There, your meal ticket. You traded your meal ticket, bro. Good luck with that. I don't give a shit how many draft picks you got back. And I think the Cardinals are looking to be a disaster again. Who knows what's going to happen with Kyler Murray? Who knows what's going to happen there with that situation? He wants max money. However, there's been times when Kyler Murray has kind of taken a step back. The injuries to DeAndre Hopkins. They lost a couple of players in this offseason. So they lost, Christian Kirk. Not that I'm not saying everything depends on Christian Kirk, but they lost a lot of guys that really were part of their structure. So who knows? I still think we're the class of the NFC West. I still think that with this team that we have right now, on paper, we look very good. But we're gambling here, people. We are gambling. Management has put us in the place to gamble with this kid as a quarterback. And again, I don't blame Trey Lance. That is not my point. I blame management for putting too much to get him. You did not have to do that. I'm clapping my hands because I'm Italian. I use my hands. You didn't have to do that. You overplayed yourself. And like I said before, now you're on the hook to play this kid come, hell or high water. And then some people, well, he's the next Patrick Mahomes. Well, hey, look, that's saying a lot. That's really saying a lot, man. It's like saying Jason Momoa is the second coming of Jesus Christ. You're trying to fill in some big shoes there. Do we have to say that? Could he be the poor man's Patrick Mahomes? Could he just be Trey Lance? I think when you say these things, you put the kid on a pedestal to fail, man. You really do. So I like Jimmy G as a guaranteed interception. It happens in the second half. We are fucked. And when he throws them in the first half, we are in for a show. I watched that Rams game waiting. Yeah, there were times I was waiting for a pick too, because some of the passes he threw. I mean, listen, we got at it. We against Green Bay. I remember looking at TV going, "What the fuck are you doing? Who are you throwing the ball to?" Here's the thing I loved about Alex Smith. He threw the ball away. Call him. Some people want to call him a game manager. I do not. I call him intelligent. Throw the ball away. You don't have it, don't force it. Live to die. What do you call it? Survive to live for the next set. You got a defense, punt the ball away. Let the defense play. Let the defense do it. Or let's not make a habit of it because we don't want to tire out the defense, keep them on the field too much. But throw the ball away, man. Live for another down. Don't force it, especially when you're on our side of the field. I feel like Jimmy. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm rereading the same thing. And then followed by a terrible trade, letting go of Buckner. Thank you. Somebody finally, other than myself, says it. Thank you, sir. L49 to 49. D Ford was a waste of money. I agree. I'll say this. I love D Ford, but I think you overpaid him, and you overpaid Quan Alexander. You didn't need him. He got hurt. As much as I like Armstead, it should have been him instead of Buckner. Have to agree with you. Thank you, sir. I would have kept Buckner. At that time, Buckner, I think, made Armstead better. If it's not for Buckner taking on 1 and 2 offensive linemen, Buckner doesn't get 9 sacks that year. Let's face it. Buckner also came into his own a lot this year and also profited, as much defensive players do, from that around him. Live to fight the next play. Yes, my brain was elsewhere. Exactly. And I don't think what we're saying is showing low intelligence. I don't, in terms of the game, in terms of the team. I think it's rather pragmatic what we're talking about. Yes, especially if the answer to Buckner was Kinlaw. Dude, I agree with you. Listen, I like to give everyone a benefit of the doubt. Kinlaw's rookie season, until the Saint game where he crushed Drew Brees, I didn't see it. I'm like, okay, he's a rookie. I get it. I thought he came into camp. His body didn't look right. I thought he was a tween, like a little bit of in between. He had a little bit of a belly, had some baby fat, really hadn't established his muscular ability. I didn't like the way he moved, and again, this year was a wash. So now we have this third year. But he needs to blow shit out the water. I ain't talking about the 5th game. I'm talking about from preseason on. He needs to blow shit out the water. He needs to crush it, Aaron Donald style. And I know that's very hard shoes to fill, but that's what I'm talking about. I ain't settling for fucking, dude, like, what are you? Are you a pass threat? Are you a run stuffer? What are you? Because we signed that Hassan Ridgeway, who for the most part is a good run stuffer. I think he's a solid run stuffer. Do I think he's DJ Jones? No, but I think he could really be a good run stuffer and kind of bring and help Bosa, bring and help Armstead. The other guys off the edge in terms of Jordan Willis, who hopefully they'll use a lot more this year. They lost Kentavious Street, right? That sucked too. I didn't want to see that happen because I thought, he was the most expendable out of the guys they lost, but I really liked what I saw from him. But obviously, that didn't happen. It's rather black and white and clear as light. They need to sign Todd. Man, I don't know if that's going to happen, man. I really don't know if that's going to happen. I thought Todd had one of his best seasons this year. I thought he kind of established himself with a nice duo with him and Jimmy Ward, but with Tofnega back there, if I'm pronouncing his name, I apologize. And the signing of the dude over from the Indianapolis Colts, I don't know if that's going to happen, man. For the most part, Todd was always just a pure hitter, and that paid off not well for him because he got injured a lot. But this last season, I like what I saw from him. I thought he came up pretty big. I just don't know if that's going to happen. Sign Bosa and Tart is the least they guys can do. Release sign Bosa, dude. Give him the money. Bosa is the cornerstone of the franchise. It's everything is Trey Lance. Fuck that. Nick Bosa. And sign Deebo too. No, I don't think so either. And it sucks to feel that it would have been different if he didn't drop the pick. Very true. I know, dude. He makes that pick. Forget it. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but listen, dude, that was like a pop up in fucking softball. But again, shit happens. Shit happens. But for the most part, look, we're in a good place. We got the majority of the team still there. One of my posts, I also talked about, can we please throw Juice the ball more? Please utilize him more. Split him out. Go back to what we used to do with the West Coast offense. Go back to what we used to do with Woody Ratman. Go back with what we used to do to William Barnum Floyd. Man, we utilize those cats, not just for running the ball. Even that, run Juice more. Run him more. Listen, you're paying him. Use him for all aspects, blocking, running, catching. He can do it. He did it in Baltimore. My thing is, if I'm paying you, I'm utilizing you as much as I can. Hence, be why they should re-sign Deebo. Give him the money if you want and utilize him all over the fucking place. Don't buy into the bullshit that he doesn't want to be. Listen, he wants to be used that way. The guy's not stupid. But again, that does pay, it could pay off with injuries as well. You know, um, I don't know. It's going to be interesting, man. I think Moore Norris, Bruce Miller. Good shit right there. Good shit. I used to love Bruce Miller. Dude, Bruce Miller was a killer. He went nuts, though. I don't know what happened to him. But we need to go back to it. That's another thing, too. The fullback has become the center of the NBA. Remember, it was like, there's no centers anymore. I mean, we have Embiid, we have Jokic, two guys that I hate Jokic with a passion. I think he's a big ball of shit. He's a talented guy, but he's cotton candy. Dude, I'll sign a contract now for 50 grand a year if a team told me, hey, all I need you to do is go in and foul out and play every time we play Jokic and just ham him. I'll do it gladly. I don't care if the guy swings on me. He needs to be roughed up. He doesn't like to be roughed up. Embiid's a very talented player, but the center became the fullback. Like it's like taboo to use a fullback or to throw to a fullback out of the backfield or to use him for other things. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Fred Beasley, one of my favorite. One of my favorite, man. Heath Sherman, right? Going back to other guys in the NFL. There was a dude on the Raiders who came over from the Eagles. Big bad white cat. He was a John. Can't think of his last name. Was one of my favorite players, dude. He used to crush cats. Mike Alstott, right? What happened to that? Why is it taboo now? Throw Juice the fucking ball. He should be having 50 to 60 catches per year, 200 to 300 yards on the ground. I don't know. That's just me. Shanny's a run first guy. His father was a run first guy. His father made star careers out of Mike Anderson, out of Terrell Davis. That's what we need to be doing with the fullback. But I got to wrap this up, guys. Listen, man, thank you so much for following. I'm humbled, thankful, and blessed to have all you following me. I really respect it. I really love it. You can find me on Facebook. You can obviously find me on Instagram. Please feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel and like it. Comment me, message me anytime, man. I love to talk. If you don't agree with my opinion, let me know. I'm not one of those cats that thinks I'm always right. I know I'm not always right, but it's just my opinion. Hit me up anytime, man. L49 or 49. I definitely really love it. I'll definitely do you a favor. Go check out the page. You mean your page or another page? I will look at whatever you send me. You know what? You can message me the page you want me to look at, and I'll gladly do it. Hit me up anytime, people. Much love and respect. The Niner Nut is out. Later.